go the war of art, Joe.
Yeah.
Live from Abu Dhabi.
Welcome back to the B Plus podcast. A little context before we get into this. I approached Nasim and I have articles on my website, seftimorlive.com, that I write from time to time when I get free time or if I have an idea, a little bit like journaling for my own ideas and thoughts, because I read a lot of books and I like to jot stuff down. And if you've been watching,
He likes to read.
if you've been watching this, you probably know that I would make a vlog for each article because I like to accompany just a little bit more thoughts that I can get out and show you how I am personally on camera talking about the article than just reading it. Give you a little companion with each article. So with everything, my work schedule changed and all that, I thought it would be easier to do this. Plus, you'll get another perspective from Nasim. So yes. I wanted to make this into combine that into the B Plus podcast. So this is our first run at that. So I hope you enjoy it. And today we're going to be talking about an article I wrote. It's part one of something, my manifesto for 2018, which part one is defeating the resistance. As I began in January of last year, starting to create my own content, I have been face to face with something that Steven Pressfield in his book, The War of Art.
Wait, let's do a little, let me read this small paragraph about Steven, okay?
Yeah, go
ahead. Steven Pressfield is the author of The War of Art, not The Art of War. And it's an internationally best-selling, well, he's an internationally best-selling author. And he was the author of The Last Amazons, The Gates of Fire, The Tides of War. Steven Pressfield delivers a guide here with The War of Art to inspire and support those who struggle to express their creativity. Pressfield believes that resistance is the greatest enemy and offers many unique and helpful ways to overcome it. And it seems that this is very much for self-help. And I'm looking at right now, there's an audiobook. It's on Amazon, and the MP3 CD is $11.69. Really, paperback's about $9. Kindle's $4. It's hardcover. Never mind.
Was it expensive?
Yeah, it's $94.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Audio. It's this one audiobook over here. It says $0, but it's free when you join up with Audible. So you can actually listen to it for free on Audible trial.
Yeah. Wow. So being that I wanted to start creating my own content just for my thoughts or making videos or writing, all that, I've been face to face with what Steven talks about in his book, The Resistance, a lot. Throughout this first year, I've experienced a bunch of highs and a bunch of lows.
Give an example of a resistance for you.
Don't go to the gym. Eat unhealthy food.
Going to the gym. Do you want to? You know what? Pick one. Do you want to do just gym or food?
I like, if I wanted to touch on one, it would be, why am I doing this?
Okay.
Why am I creating anything?
Okay.
No one gives a shit. Why am I doing this? This is stupid.
Okay.
It's a waste of my time. Those are the thoughts that arise in my head, and I have to beat them down in order to continue on with what I'm doing.
Okay.
That's the biggest one. Just,
Are you able to beat them down?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do have when, say, anxiety or stress levels are high, I feel that hardcore, like, this is stupid. I'm just some dude in Pittston. Like, why does anyone care what we say or I say? Why am I doing this? But then when I come out of that fog, and the way that I beat that is by saying, well, what's the alternative? That's my mantra. That's always my mantra. What's the alternative?
Okay.
The alternative is that I do nothing for a year and we don't do this podcast, and I don't write, and I don't things that I really love doing once I'm doing them. But you know, uh,
What happens when you run into something that you can't use? What's my alternative to defeat or get past or hurdle over or hop over, let's say?
right.
Not necessarily with this, because if you're able to use what you've learned to be able to get past mentally what could block you, even if you had the event of having stress or anxiety try to give you a hard time, what other area is the one that you're finding harder to bridge that gap? Could it be going to the gym or food?
Food, always food.
Food first and foremost.
Yeah, I've had battles. You know, when I was younger, I was probably at the weight I'm at now.
Okay.
And back then it was high school, and I starved. You know, I just I straight up starved and lost a ton of weight. Looked great.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying, you know, it was for all the right reasons. You know, for all the right reasons, but you know, now in my older age, not that I'm old, but you know, as I get older,
Yeah, you're not as young as you used to be, is what you're saying.
you know, that stuff is harder. And I think through the bad stuff that I did in the past with, you know, just neglecting and not eating, I have a bit of a food addiction, that you would say that I can't stop. Once I have something, I you know, eat a lot. But that's, I mean, I guess that would be what, resistance to weight loss.
It would be the resistance, if you have to use the word resistance, to being able to follow through on a diet. And then the
Right.
diet in turn is going to be with weight loss, which in turn is going to be that chart where it's like diet, exercise, sleep that's supposed to help you with weight loss. So yeah.
Yeah, that would be like, oh, I don't know. I'll just throw something out. Like, I already had one cut of pizza. My diet's ruined. Let's have 4 more.
Okay.
Where in reality, I mean, if you don't have the other 3 or 4 or how many, you know, you're actually saving all those calories.
So
But
you're saying that resistance in this instance is also negativity.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, big time. Okay.
Absolutely.
So we can link the way he was going to use or already did use in the War of Art resistance to having negative forces around you and in your own mind and affect you. So you're saying that you can eliminate the negativity when it comes to working on the things that you love, because you can convince yourself that it's worth doing and that the alternative is not worth like going down that road, which is very much so right.
Right. I think that, and I wrote about this, you know, the resistance comes up in many different areas. It comes up in me binge eating, if you know, drink too much. And as I write in the article, I get upset because I have all the knowledge that I need to overcome it, and it still shows up. But if you listen to someone like Stephen Pressfield, he says it's never going to go away.
Okay, but he's also talking about using, like, not to wallow in negativity, but to find solutions to focus on, like, finding the solutions could be hard to deal with too. I get that. So you're saying that when it comes to one part, you can get past what you have to get past, but this other part is harder to do. And not to mention, you work around food, so it's not even like you're going to be away from it. You know what I mean?
Right.
A real long time. Like, does that kind of like a challenge? Because that looks like that's to me
challenge.
Yeah.
That's the biggest challenge, and that's the thing, is that, you know, people would say procrastination or something of that. Oh, well, that's the resistance. Why do I feel this way? Why do I do that? But the thing is that even if you're firing on all cylinders, you're always going to face it. That's why you hear people say, you know, life is a constant struggle, but they give up.
Okay.
You know, I have resistance right up until we hit record.
Okay.
You know, on this podcast or hit let's go live. I have resistance up until I start my first paragraph for writing. You know, but it's things that I love. I love doing this with you. I love writing. I love expressing just my
Oh,
thoughts.
good. That's
You know,
good. Yeah. That's all positive. Yes.
but if I gave in,
You wouldn't do it.
I would never do it.
No.
I would never do it. No. It's you know, it's there. It's there every day.
What do you think the difference is between not giving in to, say, podcast and giving in to a diet or exercise? Because they're kind of parallel in their own. Is it a negative choice or a negative thought? And then things kind of spiral. You were talking about earlier. You were talking about how things can spiral out of control, where you can put a dent in your diet with pizza, or you could put a bigger dent in your diet with 4 pizzas, right?
Right.
What's the difference between, because if we're going to talk about you being able to transcend and get through and do what you want to be able to do in one aspect, then would you think that you'd have the same ability to apply that to another aspect? And you're saying no. You're saying no, it doesn't work for everything. And that makes sense. It makes sense to me.
I think it's funny because, you know, doing this podcast or doing writing, like actually writing or sitting down and editing are all things that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But with food, it's all about not doing. It's all about not eating that bad food. It's all about not starting. You know, I always say with food, for me, it's like when you're out at a bar drinking or something, and everyone says, "Oh, I broke the seal. I got to keep going to the bathroom. I got to keep, you know." And
wait.
No, it's seriously. No. I mean, I think that's a great analogy.
This one, I want you to explain it to me. Just explain it to me once again.
You know, like people say, "Oh, I broke the seal. Now I got to piss every 5 seconds." Well,
okay.
That's how it is for me. Like if I have the smallest, like I don't know, at the store, if I have like 1 piece of cheese, I just like go all out and I binge eat.
Okay.
To where on some days I'll get sick.
Okay.
You know,
so you're saying you don't want to have to trigger binge eating, and that makes sense. Who would want to be able to do that? But if the dam has a crack in it and some water gets through, it turns into a flood for you.
Right. So like in that sense, I don't want the trigger, but in a producing sense, I need to write the first paragraph to trigger me to write the rest of the article.
Okay.
So I want to be triggered, I guess, in that sense, you know.
So one works for you and one works against you. Absolutely.
Yep.
Right.
One's like just jump in and like get what you want out there, get it done, and one's like don't even start.
Okay.
Because you're going to get out of control. You know.
Okay.
Now, if I could switch those, it might have worked because, like, you know, if I was addicted to getting writing done or whatever, it'd be a little bit different. But
I mean, you are, but you look at it differently. I think you look at the writing and this type of process as something that is not only positive, something that you can do. You can get past in your mind thinking that it is something that's not worth doing or that no one cares, and you feel that it's a worthwhile venture from start to finish, and that's good. Because it has a very positive effect on you, because I can watch the way you react to stuff as you would in real time, and I could see that you're a happier person. I know when it comes to talking about food, because food's also a pretty huge issue for me too. It's everywhere and it's all the time and it's constant, and you work around it, and even if you don't work around it, you have to make good decisions or try to make better decisions, or there's all these things and factors that go into being on a diet, staying on a diet, making sure you exercise. Are you getting enough sleep? Like that's like I said before, if there was a chart or a pie chart or the pizza pie, we're talking about pizza pies. We're going to talk about the trifecta of make sure you exercise, make sure you diet, and make sure you sleep enough. And that's supposed to be able to help you attain weight loss. I call it weight cutting. Like I'm cutting weight. I'm trying to cut my weight. Right. And I found this. If you can get past the initial part where you kind of, and it's not right to do, and you talked about it before, so I'm going to touch upon it right now. You start to starve yourself a little bit, and then you kind of like switch yourself. Maybe it's just me. I think maybe you were really onto something there. If you switch your body and your mind frame from being like, when am I going to eat next, to do I even need to have anything? Am I actually even really hungry? And then if you can get the diet part to start working for you, then the exercise just helps. It adds to that. And like, I can't talk about good sleep. I'm not a good sleeper. I get like 4 or 5 hours a night. I don't sleep very well.
Right.
So I have no good input when it comes to sleep. But when it comes to staying on a diet and exercise, I have a ton. And I think it's about starting it. I think you mentioned once before, someone else said you had to start this a certain way, and it changes the way your mind thinks about what you have to do as far as what you're going to take in during the day. And then after that, I can tell you absolutely 100% after that, it's about always holding your own self accountable to yourself.
Right.
And I'm really hard on myself, so I can get as you've been around me for years now. You can see the results I can get myself over too, because I'm relentless on myself. And that it's not easy, because that provides even more challenges for me throughout my day, week, month, year, half year, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Because I have a lot of things I can get hung up on. So like, let's say that you would say, you can go from having a crack in the dam to a veritable flood.
Yep.
I can go from having a crack to restricting the rest of the day, not like
That's
watching
awesome.
after myself properly. Sometimes though, that's the thing. It's like if I get a small dent, I could turn that into a stream of water that needs to be patched, but I'll never allow it to actually turn into the flood, because my mind's just too that's the word for it, like OCD about how far I've been able to come so far.
Yeah.
And then like, do you see yourself being able to train yourself to start the starvation part that you said you had the ability to tap into when you were younger?
Yeah.
I think that's your first hurdle.
Well, here's the thing is that, I've been trying intermittent fasting for a while.
You taught me intermittent fasting, actually.
Yeah, and I think I was talking to you about it. It's so crazy because, like when I do the fast and I'm doing it correctly, so I sit there, I figure it out. I'm doing a 16-8. What that means is that I go 16 hours without food, 8-hour eating window. Okay. So if I have one piece of lunch meat, like it's over. Like, yeah,
no, it is. Like you stop the fast.
Like big over. Right. But the fast is over, but I'm fucked for the day.
Okay.
So like I'm gonna overeat like a ton. But here's the funny part. And this is just it's my brain, it's mental.
It is mental. It is. A lot of it's mental, and
I'll tell you what,
used to it.
When I look and I go, okay, so today it'll be 2:00. I'll eat at 2:00. That'll be, like today at 2:00 would actually have been like 21-hour fast. So I look at it and I go, okay, 2:00. So when I do it and I do it correctly and I literally have nothing, I have water, black coffee, and I get to that point and I eat my meal, your satiety is actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Your satiety is fulfilled. Your hunger actually goes down.
Okay.
And to where when I'm picking, your satiety is never satisfied. That's what I meant. Your satiety is satisfied.
Okay.
It's never satisfied. So then you just keep eating and eating and eating and adding calories. But like with that, so it's weird because, I'm facing the resistance with just eat. Like, you went to the gym today, just eat. So it's even like in a good thing, like I'm getting up at 5:00 to go to the gym for 5:30, and then it's like, oh, you worked out today, like that little thing in your brain, that little voice in your brain, in your head, that's like, oh, you did that, or you're having a hard day at work, or you're stressed out, just have a little bit. You don't gotta wait till 2:00. Like these are the things, that go through my head, and this is all part of what we're talking about here and what I wrote about in the article with the resistance. But I think somewhere where you are is that you are riding on that high. Is like the reason we're still doing like this podcast, the reason I'm still writing is because I've seen people enjoy our content. I've seen people enjoy my articles. I've seen my family enjoy the vlogs of all the stuff in the past summer. that I recorded and edited and put up.
Okay.
And they're like, thank you, this is amazing. And I'm riding that high, so I know what happens at the end. With weight loss, I mean, I guess it was back in the day. Like I knew, oh, I'm going to look good, I'm going to feel better, all that stuff. And I know that now, but I haven't seen anything. So like, it's still in that fantasy realm. And I think that's where like with you, you've seen it. So now you're just like crazy with it, like moving more steps, all that. And
oh yeah, with the activity and exercising.
Yeah.
It does come hand in hand with dieting. You can't just cut one or the other out. You need both. I know that.
Mhm.
And yeah, you're right. I'm seeing another side of it where it's past the initial part, past the middle, I guess, ground of it.
Right.
And like I think it's like 150, 160 pounds later. And that was by estimates, which are still pretty accurate, I think. I'm still trying to figure out, well, what's the next part? What's the next part? What's next? What's next? And people are like, well, aren't you happy with your accomplishments? I'm like, no, I'm not.
That's where I want to go. And that's what I talk about is, why don't we reflect? Why don't, in order to defeat the resistance, why don't I look at accomplishments?
Yeah.
I feel you did that. I mean, you went out with your family for a certain weight goal that you hit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's cool. But I mean, even on the article, like this is what I wrote. I go, this year I'm going to change the narrative in my mind to beat the resistance. I know that I have a talent for this. Every little tiny success I made a reality. I deserve the wins. I also deserve the losses that come because my self-limiting beliefs will always be there. They are one part of the monster that is the resistance. I will try to lessen these self-limiting beliefs in the new year. I need to believe without a shadow of a doubt that I could succeed with content creation. The weight that I have packed on over the years can be gone, and that I could do this. The funny part of all this is that I know I can produce awesome content, yet I still have these conversations with myself every day. Yeah. I have seen firsthand in 1 year, I have created my own website, wrote around 75 articles, including 3 short stories. I started a podcast. Me and you started a podcast, and I distribute it on all the top platforms. Mm-hmm. Created my own YouTube channel that hosts my personal vlogs, as well as videos to go along with the blog articles. Started streaming a little bit on Twitch again. Made friends with people over the internet that have helped me with all these different things.
Yeah.
And it's something that I didn't think was possible last year. And this is 1 year of battling with that, but this actually worked. Like it happened.
Okay.
This is from just going. And I think, one of those things is the resistance I battle the most is, for instance, I'll drive to the gym. I don't have this problem anymore since I do it in the morning. Okay. But after work, I would sit here. I don't want to go. Waste an hour of my time, then sit in the car because, I love this quote that says the heaviest weight you're going to lift all day is the front door.
Yeah. I'll give you the other one. To be able to, let's say, have a diet or lose weight, you have to have strong arms. And then someone will look at you and they're like, why do you need strong arms? I'm like, push yourself away from the table.
Yeah. Yeah. So
or the food, table food, whatever.
If there was, what I'm trying to say is that, I have beat it a million times already. I beat it a bunch this year, but I want to just do better in certain aspects as, weight loss, not procrastinating as much. I'm really just trying to reduce my downtime, reduce the time that I'm spent doing bullshit.
Okay.
And I think that compounds on each other in order to defeat because the resistance for me, I don't know how it is for you, but the resistance is a battle every day. It's a struggle every single day.
Oh yeah, it's an everyday thing. Mine, I think, comes to me in the form of anxiety or stress or something that I'm trying to I'm trying to be more positive, but I can be I don't know. I mean, I am a pretty optimistic and positive person. But then there's times where I'll be like, well, let's work on a solution. And while I'm trying to work on the solution through my head, I'll run a scenario of all like the less favorable plausible outcomes, and I'll just be like, oh well, now I'm getting like pessimistic, and I'm like, well, I'm still optimistic because I still want this to work out, but while I'm like trying to analyze what's happening around me, I'm just like, well, worst case scenario, this, and I'm just like, I'm like, I'm my own worst enemy.
That's it though. That's what we're talking about. Like that's the whole thing, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, you know, at the end of, my article, I just talked about, you know, your comfort zone. That's where a lot of people will sit and they'll rest in, they'll stay in their comfort zone.
Yeah.
So they don't have to fear anything. They don't have to worry about that. They don't have to put themselves out there, hit publish or go live like we are. But every single day, you know, that we do this, and every single day that something else is produced that wasn't there the day before, I say this a lot when I'm writing, is a win. It's a win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
It's a win. And I got to focus on that and focus that we are breaking out of our comfort zones every single time we hit go live on here.
Yeah.
And you know, we're doing it, you know, and you don't look at that. You're just like, oh man, good cast. But no, like we did it. Like no one's doing that. We don't know anybody personally that we see in real life that's doing it. Like,
yeah, there's other people that are doing it and are better than us at it, but we don't really interface with those people. Like we don't ever interact with like who's number one? Is anyone near number one? Who's top 10?
In what?
Podcasting?
In power, like Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, he's good. I used to think that the Nerdist was tied with him, but I'm learning that they're not. He's more popular than I think what they. Hey, I don't know. I have to check up on stuff. Maybe you can bring up a list. We'll see who's really popular these days. I actually don't listen to a whole lot of podcasts.
Joe Rogan's popular. Tim Ferriss is huge.
There you
go. Jocko, I let you listen to that one. Lewis Howes, The School of Greatness. I just recently did a video and a write-up about his book, The Mask of Masculinity. That was excellent. But yeah, like I said, you know, I don't know anyone. To be honest, and he's in the chat. I didn't want to break what we were doing, but he's in the chat. D Coin Hunter.
Oh, cool.
He's the only other person though that I know right now that's out there doing it, and in YouTube metrics, he's doing a lot better than I am. But
is he in our chat right now? Should we say hi to him?
I did in chat. You actually have to go to like our YouTube thing. I didn't know that it's not in this chat. I guess this is like Google Hangouts chat.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So you actually have to go to the video itself as it's live on YouTube. But shout out to D Coin Hunter to check out his channel. I think he's live streaming tonight at 7. But
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, he's gonna live stream tonight. So, but you know what I'm saying is person.
You said that you can feel the difference of having the accomplishment of what you've been able to do with this stuff over the past year. You feel accomplished. You don't feel like it's not good enough?
No, I mean, I always try to make things better. I always, you know, but the only way to get better is by doing, you know, it's not how many YouTube videos I watch on something or how much I read on something.
Yeah.
That's just another form of resistance, is because the more you read, the more you watch, the more you sit around and say you're like, learning is great. Don't get me wrong, but you got to implement it. You know, that's why I try to limit the amount of self-help I read, because
you don't want to be doing that all the time because you're not doing anything else.
Because then you're not doing anything. If I read like, if all I read was that, you know, and I didn't read comic books and I didn't read,
like where's Jill? I don't know, reading a book somewhere. He talked to him. Yeah, he reads books.
Yeah, and I didn't read novels though. It just all like meshes together, and then nothing happens. Like, why am I even reading this? It's not helping anything.
Yeah.
You know? So
see, I see all this as like, I see this and all the stuff we're talking about as accomplishments, but I'm a critical person on myself. So like, I also like you said before, it was a really key thing to say there in that moment where you're like, but things can always improve. They can be better. And I'm like, yeah. That I identify with that, because even if I'm doing something to accomplish something myself and doing a good job at it, I don't take enough time to step back and be like, hey, look at your accomplishment. I'm always just like, well, this could be a whole lot better. And I think that's part of like the way I approach something when I want to be really serious about it. So,
well, I'm talking about accomplishment like, yo, we did this today. It went really well. But then, you know, we're doing 2 a week. Let's get 5 a week. You know, like that's something. You know, that's something to think about or to talk about. But yeah, I mean that's all I got. Like I said, the full article is up. It's called My Manifesto.
Oh,
2018.
there's going to be a part 2 of this, right?
There is a part 2. I'm still working on it. It's about 4,000 words, which is like my biggest article ever. I don't know where I was going with it. I'm probably repeating myself a lot in it, but I never claimed to be a great writer. When I came out with my website, I said to anyone that would listen, I said, you know, this is just something for me to document my own thoughts. I will be sharing it because I want to do that, but you know, don't have to read it. You don't have to comment. You don't have to do anything. I just want to share it. I just want to share it with everybody. So,
and you're doing that. You've already gone past what you said you were going to do with that. Absolutely. I think right now, and depending on what you'll end up deciding to put down in your next article, you and I will be bonking our heads together and figuring out, well, how's 2018 going to work? How's it going to look? And what do we want to say by the end of this year? Versus we didn't really have any like definite expectation for the end of 2017. We were just happy to be able to be moving along and working on what we were working on. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And that's, you know, no matter what happens here, if I take a week off or I take a day off, or we just took, you know, we didn't get back to this for a month, I'll never stop. You know, that resistance might beat me today. It might beat me tomorrow. It might take me down for a week, but I'm never going to let it win. I'm never going to stop this because, like I said, I've seen the positives. I've seen the positives of the actual doing, of putting in the actual work. I wish I could say the same for my weight loss, for losing weight and stuff like that. But
that's what it sounds like, though. It sounds like you have the template in your brain and you know how to be able to use it as a structure. I think for you, it's about transferring it from one area to another area, and then like you'd be able to replicate some amazing things. But it just takes. I found out, and this is just me, and because when I say things like this is just me or this is my experience, I know that it's different for everybody to be able to work and you know, do something. Everyone has a different physiology. Everyone has a different type of mental state. There's all these different variables that we have to try to account for or think about. But for me, I found when it came to anything to do with weight cutting, it was willpower. It just kept coming back. Like you had to keep willing it to be. We're willing this to be right now because this is what we wanted to be able to do or accomplish, or what we talked about, like, let's do this. Okay, let's do it. And then we do it. And we both like the positive aspects that come along with that, because there is a lot of that. Right. And I really hope that if there's anything that anyone could take from what we're talking about today, I hope they can get out of this conversation that if you're able to will something to happen and get through to be able to do that, that's an accomplishment in itself. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But what you're saying, and what this book says that even with our accomplishments, there's still other types of negative forces that are in our own mind, in our own lives around us, that stop us from being even better or moving forward. And then it talks about being complacent, and it talks about being in comfort zones. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we could talk with what I want to say is that what I like about it is that it puts a face to an issue that people might be going through, saying, why is this happening to me? Why can't I push through this? Why can't I stop procrastinating? Why can't I lose weight? Why can't I make good on any of these things that I say I'm going to do? And I like that Stephen puts a face to it, a name to it. And I think that helps, because then you could identify it. Instead of saying, what is this? Why is this? You can say, oh, this is just part of life. This is the resistance happening.
I think that we knew these things were there, and I knew that we would both identify with these things because we battle with them all the time. Right. Rather than we would probably call it like a negative aspect of this or that. And I think that what Steven does is that he rebrands that into the resistance. But the smart part is, like he would say, you can still have the resistance while being successful, because it'll keep you in one spot rather when you can probably transcend or go higher, or like and move to something else. And that makes a lot of sense too, because yeah, if even if you did accomplish something and you're really happy with it, you might just stay there with that rather than evolve and move forward. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that's what I say in the article is, for 31 years. I mean, I didn't just stay totally in my comfort zone, but for 31 years, I was afraid of expressing myself like that, like this, and putting myself out there. But you know what? At the end of the day, if one person watches this and takes something away from it, then we've done our job, man. And I get to break out of my comfort zone and do something different, and someone benefits from that. And I could already tell, when I would go to work and I'd be down because, I mean, it's your job. It's a family business, so it's closer to my heart than just a normal job or something like that. But when I started doing this, it made me really happy, because and in turn made me better at my job and within the family business, because I was doing something for myself. I was doing something of my own creativity, and where that started was actually listening to Joe Rogan with Maynard James Keenan, and he said, create something every day.
Gotcha.
Doesn't matter what it is, create something every day. I mean, you could boil that down to an Instagram post,
Yeah.
I
think you even mentioned when you did your original Facebook post and something about when the website was starting, that was one of your mantras, right?
Yes.
Or like a motto.
Yeah. Create every day.
Okay.
Because, and that makes me happy, and it carries into other parts of my life. It makes my relationship, with Michelle better. It makes my relationship with my family better. A lot of people won't even take notice to that. They'll just see that they'll be like, oh, Joel seems happier, They won't even take notice to that. But in reality, it's that I won the battle the day before, or for the week, or for the month, with the resistance. I broke out of my comfort zone. We've done, I've had a couple articles this year where I was going to hit upload, and I didn't want to do it because I was scared. But I know in my heart that those ones that are scared to hit publish on, I mean, it's not like it's going to hurt anybody or anybody like that besides maybe me. But when I go and hit that, I know I have to do it then. Okay, you have to do it.
I know, because that locks you into doing it. What would you be afraid of, like, personally?
What do you mean?
You said that you were worried about something hurting you if you hit publish, but I'm like, no, this is really going to hurt you. Would it be like some type of an opinion, if someone had a certain opinion or took your idea the wrong way?
Yeah, because that's why I like to do this part of it. That's why I like to. One of the reasons I like to do this part is so people get to see what I'm about and how I'm expressing it. Words could only go so far, I believe. And I'm not like some great writer that, exactly what I'm thinking or exactly how I'm saying it. So I like to do this part of it too, because I think it just makes that, that much better.
I want to mention that you said before that work, whether I would have to say work for you with it being a family owned business or work in general, is a whole other topic. I won't get into anything for either of us, both of us. Maybe a lot of people identify with that also. It has its own, again, other like subset of challenges and resistances and negativities that come along with it that shape our lives, and kind of something we have to keep coming back to do for, I don't know, our whole life, most of our life, a portion of our life. I mean, it's some pretty heavy stuff, but I can hear, you know what? I'll sit here and I'll say, I do view maybe my own work as in a job, as in a career, as part of the things that cause some anxiety and some stress for me on a day-to-day basis. And I'm pretty sure you could say the same thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, that was just, I mean, you feel better when, those things that you didn't want to do, that you get them done. I'm sure you feel better after you know that we put out a cast for that day.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It's
And then you got to
definitely
flex that
very
creativity.
positive, very positive experience being able to sit down and have both of us have a conversation we might have had on our own be shared with anyone that
Yeah.
would. I mean, that already there it makes it kind of more purposeful, meaningful. It's a reason to have it, reason to be.
Yeah. And I mean, if we gave into the resistance here and didn't win that battle every day, then there would be no podcast. There would be no website. There would be nothing of this sort. And just by starting out myself last year and hitting publish for my first time, opened the gates to this, because that's when I said, all right, let's do a podcast too. Because I know if I want to reach the most amount of people and I want the most people's eyes on this, is that I have to do a written, an audio, and a video portion of whatever I'm going to do. And that's what spawned this, because I knew I needed an audio, and I knew one of the best people to do it would be to ask you, because we would have phone conversations for 45 minutes where I would have a 20-minute drive from work and then sit in my driveway for 25 minutes still talking to you.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
And I'll never forget. That's when I sat there and I said, let's do this. This is it. This is the podcast. We're talking about Star Wars for 45 minutes. Like, this is the podcast. Like, let's do it.
We're gonna do it anyway.
But I do that's the most I got. I don't know if you have anything, but I do want to say that I don't know. We have had 2 viewers here the entire podcast, which is pretty cool. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I just I don't know. I thought this was excellent. I want to do this. I want to do this more. So I hope our viewers like it as well. But that's all I got, man. That's my article. Good. Like I said, it's up on my website, seftimorlive.com, if you want to read it. And yeah, other than that, that's all I got about defeating the resistance. Let's take this son of a bitch down a lot easier each and every day in the new year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that could be one of the things we'll look forward to being able to try to see how much we'll be able to accomplish this year. And then maybe we'll have an end year conversation on, hey, what did we do with this year?
Yeah.
That could be like even a part 3 of this, because I know you have a part 2 planned.
Yeah. Right. So that's it. As always, if you enjoy this, please give us a like, hit the subscribe button so you get all the updates when we go live. And other than that, we'll be back shortly with another episode. So have a good night. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.